Hey, I'm Shane from Shane's Law. This is one of our client victories we have here. We always like to talk about our wins here at Shane's Law and how we were able to help clients. Today, we're talking with Darian. We're going to talk to him about one of his recent client victories with RF. So, Darian, tell me about RF's case. What happened?
Yeah, so RF was a 28-year-old man. He was just traveling to work on I-77 here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he was sideswiped directly on the driver's side and was unfortunately pushed over into the 277 ramp where the cars rested. Definitely a scary accident. Luckily, it wasn't worse than what it was.
I was going to say, in my experience, sideswipe cases are generally harder than, say, a rear-end collision.
Yeah.
Did the other side accept responsibility on this, or did they fight you on it, or how did that go?
Fortunately, they accepted the responsibility for the liability part. We had a couple back and forth on the damages, but the liability, they accepted it. Again, sideswipe collisions are not thought of to be super serious, but when you're traveling on I-77, 65, 70 miles per hour, and somebody just hits you on the side of the driver's side, it's a pretty scary experience.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And you said he ended up
getting pushed to a ramp, entry ramp, so it could have been a lot worse. Could have been multiple cars involved. Luckily, that didn't happen. Just an unfortunate situation.
That's what I was thinking about on my way to and from work. Always there's cars on those side ramps, you know? I mean,
I travel I-77 every day to and from work, so I think about that all the time.
So he got hit, went over this side ramp. What were his initial injuries? How did he feel?
Initially, back pain, back and neck pain, nothing out of the super serious, no broken bones. Treated at the chiro for a little bit. We noticed that his pain wasn't getting any better.
Okay.
Still couldn't do regular walk upstairs, bend over, lift some items. Continue to treat him at the chiropractor. We got him into a medical doctor.
So he was having issues doing all the normal things that we all do, and he just wasn't getting better.
Every day, he wasn't getting better. He's a tough guy. He wanted to get better. He wanted to go back to work. He wanted to, just live a life, and he just couldn't do it.
And we run into that a lot. I mean, people who just basically want to be done going to the doctor, or, a lot of times we're raised to minimize our pain, right?
Yeah.
Nobody likes the whiner kind of deal, and I think people minimize it and feel bad almost saying I hurt.
Yeah, he was a provider for his family, so, he didn't want to be hurt.
Right.
And unfortunately, he was.
And he probably had to go to work. He didn't have the option of taking 3 months off to heal.
Correct.
Because they probably needed food on the table, right?
Absolutely.
So what happened at the medical doctor?
We got him into the medical doctor, gave him some medication for his pain, still monitor his treatment for about 2 weeks, and at that point, we just had a discussion. It just was not getting better. The medical doctor recommended a cervical MRI, which our client completed.
All right, so that's an MRI of the neck, and what did it find? Was it good? Was it clean, or was something there?
The cervical MRI was pretty clean, some degenerative stuff. Luckily, the medical doctor also ordered a lumbar MRI of the lower back, and that one came back with some disc bulges, which was the source of his pain.
And that explains why bending over caused some pain,
Correct.
even going upstairs caused some pain because of all those issues.
Yeah, generally, we want to treat with the chiro and try to get it sorted out, and if it's not working, then we know there's something else there, and luckily, we're able to able to get him in for an MRI to show these disc bulges, kind of let us know what we need to go for.
All right, and what ended up happening? So after they identified the disc bulge, because that makes some people feel better alone just saying, oh, I'm not imagining it. There's a real, something really is going on here.
Yeah.
What did the doctor do for him?
So we had a conversation with the client, asked him what he wanted to do, how he was feeling, and unfortunately, he was still in pain. So the medical doctor recommended, and our client completed 2 sets of bilateral lumbar injections, as well as bilateral facet injections that provided some relief for our client.
You said some relief, so he was able to get back to his normal activities. May have been still had some pain, but basically he could keep providing for his family, keep doing the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, the injections fortunately worked for him enough that he can get back to the day-to-day stuff. We wanted to continue monitoring to him for about 3 to 4 weeks just to make sure that pain didn't come back. Unfortunately, it did in a minimal sense. That led us to our next conversation, so.
Okay. I was going to say, what happened then? Because, we always hope the injections are going to take care of the pain and resolve everything, but when it comes back, what's the next step? Or what was his next step?
So he wanted just to know his options, what we could do for him, and we had him meet with the medical doctor, which essentially they recommended a surgery if the pain continued or got worse. Unfortunately, with these disc bulges and disc herniations, they're likely permanent in nature.
Right.
You can't get back that sort of injury, and it's sort of a decision to make. Do you live with it, or do you go get this surgery to kind of fix it permanently?
What did RF ultimately decide? decide?
RF decided to live with it for
To try to tough it out.
try to tough it out. We put him back in some pain management care. So what I wanted to do was to make sure that just because our client decided to live with it or just monitor it conservatively, that the insurance company didn't get away with it per se.
Right.
So we reached out to liability, which was a $30,000 policy. We were able to get the full $30,000
Okay.
limits. I talked to our client and the medical doctor, and we just didn't feel like that was enough for what he's been through and what he will go through throughout his life. Like I mentioned, he's only 28 years old. He has a long life ahead of him.
Yeah.
So fortunately, in this situation, we had a UIM policy that we can go after, and we submitted a demand to UIM policy.
And for our listeners who don't know, so you said the liability policy was 30, which that's the minimum amount in North Carolina.
Correct.
And that's why. And so the person who hit him only had $30,000 worth of coverage. But fortunately, this client had extra insurance they had purchased to cover this issue.
Yep. Fortunately, RF had underinsured coverage in the amount of $100,000, which $70,000 was available to us. So we were very, very fortunate that he had that coverage.
Yeah, which is why we always recommend our clients
Always.
buy your underinsured motorist coverage because that's what protects you and your family.
Yep.
The liability protects the other people. Underinsured protects you and your family.
You always want to protect yourself first.
So we had that recommendation for surgery. He's going to try to tough it out and not have it
Correct.
as long as he can. Were we able to get him a good settlement with the underinsured?
Eventually we were. Initially, we sent our demand out. We had a bit of a fight with the underinsured company. In fact, they only offered $5,000.
Oh, wow.
Which was very, in my opinion, disrespectful to my client, what he's been through. So me, my client, and the medical doctor, we met, and I sent our client out to get a life care plan. So a life care plan is essentially our medical doctors looking over our records, looking over our client's injuries, and determining how much it would cost for our client throughout his life with the injuries he has. The medical doctor, the medical team, the life care came back, and they estimated it would cost our client over $300,000 throughout the period of his life if his pain got worse. Submit that over to the underinsured company. About a month later, they tendered the policy limits, and we were able to get in total $100,000 for our help.
And what did RF say about all that?
Extremely grateful. Extremely grateful. He's able to have that money to get the treatment that he needs. If he wakes up one morning and it just bothers him so much that he has to go to the doctor, he has that fund, he has that money to put aside that he can go get the treatment. He was delighted. It's a 2-year process. Like I said, when you get in accidents, the lowest moment you never expect, you can't plan for it. And just being able to get him that settlement meant everything to me. He appreciated it, and is extremely grateful.
And it sounds like it wasn't one of these, everybody thinks it's going to be easy, especially when you're dealing with your own insurance. They think it's just, doesn't sound like that's the case at all here.
Not at all. A lot of times our insurance companies give us the hardest fights for whatever reason that may be. So when they offered the $5,000, I knew right there that it wasn't acceptable, not knowing what my client been through, talking to him for 2 years. That wasn't an acceptable amount. So I knew we had to do something to get that full policy limit.
And it sounds like you were able to take that $5,000 offer and basically turn it into $70,000. Is that right?
Absolutely. In a little over a month, we had to be patient. Obviously, it's a process, but it teaches us to be patient and never just grab what they offer the first time. Even if it's on your own insurance company, a lot of the misconception is my insurance company, they're going to look out for me. They're going to give me the best offer first, and that's not always the case.
That clearly wasn't the case here for RF.
No, we would be, $70,000 short if we didn't keep fighting.
Well, it sounds like RF was fortunate to have you as his lawyer, somebody who counseled patients and didn't counsel basically a quick settlement. You said, hold tight, we can help you more, and you went and got that life care plan for him, and were able to turn that $5,000 into $70,000.
Absolutely.
Well, Darian, sounds like a great job, and sounds like RF was really lucky to have you on his team.
I was lucky to have him.
Hey, this is Shane from Shane's Law. This is one of our most recent client victories, and just remember, Charlotte, if you're in pain, call Shane, 980-999-9999.
In pain, so I call Shane, 980-999-9999. In pain, call Shane.